Hey folks, Legion Archery. I will be adding some horn nocks to my Warbow. So I made a Warbow. This is an elm bow, and I'm going to be adding the tips here so that the string doesn't actually it doesn't matter with elm because it's hard, but I wanted to add something aesthetic to this bow because it's it's pretty simple. It's just a long bow basically, and I will be adding these pieces of horn. I've cut 3 pieces. I don't know which ones I'm gonna use. I know I'm gonna use this one for sure on one end. It'll stick out a little bit, but once I sand it out, I'm gonna show you how to do it right now. But pretty much I got these pieces of horn from, it's 10 to 8 to 8 inch horn pieces, and I just cut the ends off. I just sawed off the ends. So I got these 3 pieces out of them, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and I've got this drill bit from Harbor Freight, and I'm pretty much gonna go ahead and drill and you want the drill bit like this is so that it fits right into your nock. If you don't have a drill bit like this, it's not gonna really work, and you can't really put it over your nocks. There you go. I want to make sure I go deep enough so that when I insert this in there, it's actually gonna fit in there. And so next step is I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some epoxy to both sides. You want to make sure this is clean before you apply the epoxy. So you can go ahead and run some alcohol, some rubbing alcohol on there, or just clean it up, let it dry. If you don't clean it up, what's gonna happen is you get some residue in there, and the epoxy is gonna stick to that. And when you insert it, and whatever, if you just go like that, it'll come right off because the residue is the one that's gonna get the epoxy, and it's not actually gonna stick to the wood or the horn. Looks about right. I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol. The reason you want to use alcohol instead of water is because this is gonna evaporate by itself. The water's not gonna evaporate. It's gonna take longer to dry out, and it's not gonna work for your if you're adding the epoxy right away. It's not gonna hold, or it's not gonna bond as well as it would if it was dry. So now we're just gonna let it dry for, I'm just gonna let it dry for about 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding it. Alright, so finally it has dried out, so I'm gonna go ahead and use a sander to take some of the material here on the edges out on this side. And I pretty much wanted to look like this because the thinner it is, the lighter the tips are. So the lighter the tips are, the faster the bow is. On this other side here, I'm definitely gonna thin it out, and then after that I'm gonna go ahead and just put 2 groups on both sides, and the groups are so that one of them is gonna be for the bowstringer, and the other one's gonna be for the bowstring. So let me go ahead and start doing that. Alright, so I finally went ahead and I shaped the knock, and this is the way it ended up. As you can see, I dug right into the wood with this. This particular horn wasn't thick enough for me to shape it as a usual English horn knock. So what I did is I made something similar, and I had to dig into the wood so that it doesn't break my piece of horn that's on this side. So you're gonna find that if you don't dig into this particular piece right into the nocks, if you don't do that, what may happen is this piece here may end up breaking off, and then that's the end of your horn knock. So I went ahead, I made them nice and deep, and I left enough width in there for my bowstring not to be so tight, because again, if it's tight, it may end up, the sheer force of the string may end up just driving this piece of horn out of there. So I already strung the bow and I already draw it, so I know it's safe. Right now I'm just sealing the bow, and this bow ended up at 100 and around 110 pounds. I don't know the exact weight of it, because I only tested it on the scale at 26 inches. I don't have my hanging scale broke, so I don't have a hanging scale. I'm pretty sure it's at 26 inches it's about 90 pounds. So at 30 it's gonna be right around 110 to 120 pounds. And so that's what I'm estimating. Hopefully I'll get a good read on it once I get another scale.